Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ignacio Soler. I am a fishery advisory in Central Spain, belong to Coastguard Maritime. And I want giving thanks to the organization for the opportunity of the present this project and to the public for your attendance. Thank you very much. Okay, this project is improving energy efficiency and seabed impact in deep seasons trout fishery. The resistance of a troll gear breaks down into wards, troll doors, sweeps, bridles, or net. In this project, we act on the troll doors and the net to reduce the resistance of the gear and, in this way, the energy consumption. The methodology of this project is to analyze the financial status of two fishing boats in Santa Pola, Alicante, and a third boat for Mahon in the Balearic Island. We can see how the main expenses of the vessel is the fuel. In the financial analysis of the Magu catamaran, we can see how in the last 5 years, incomes have been decreasing while operating costs are going up. In the last year, the vessel has had a negative profit for a value of 12,000 euros due to the increase of the price of the fuel mainly. We can see how the cost of the fuel represents 41% of the operation cost. Due to the increase in the price of the fuel, we make a prediction for the following year in which the cost of the fuel will be 45%, causing losses of around 52,500 euros. The target of the project is to reduce the resistance of the troll gear by around 15–20%. All this without reduced catches, keep the dimensions of the troll net constant, seeking a return on investment as quickly as possible. In the phases of the present project will be phase 1, check the current situation of the vessel, check the resistance of each one of the components of the troll gear, and design the changes to be made to reduce the resistance of the troll doors and net. And phase 2, make changes to the troll net to reduce its resistance by 20%. Phase 3, change the current doors for more efficient ones and achieve savings of 20%. And the phase 4, change the fishing system by using flying doors and reduce the resistance by 50%. In this side, we can check phase 1 of the project, analyzing the resistances of the fishing gear in the actuality. The boat is using 71% of its power at the troll speed of 3 knots. At the speed of 3.5 knots, the vessel exceeds in 80% of the power. We observe how the resistances are mainly in the troll doors, 12%, troll net, 80%, and we are going to focus on reducing the resistance of these elements of the troll gear to be able to reduce total resistance between 15–20%. In phase 2 of the project, we are going to act on the fishing net to reduce its drag resistance. Let's modify the size of the mesh, increasing this in the upper plane and the size of the troll net. We are going to reduce the netting. We'll use knotless panels, and we will use more resistant fibers to reduce the thickness of the yard. We will change the combination head rope for another made of dilemma to reduce the number of floats and with it the resistance. Through these changes, we managed to reduce the resistance of the troll net by 24%. In phase 3 of the project, we are going to replace the traditional troll doors with a more efficient one. The Tiburon doors has a better CL/CD ratio, better coefficient of expansion, CL, and lower coefficient resistance, CD. Got a 24% reduction in a troll door resistance. In phase 4 of the project, we are going to rig the system with flying doors with a large CL/CD ratio. We must rig the system using compensation warps and chains. We can see the doors is not touch the bottom, but the system all the net and the sweeps are in close contact with the bottom. Meanwhile, the weight of the chain depends on the horse propulsion and the speed of the vessel. We got a resistance reduction of 64%. Flying doors have very high coefficients of expansion, CL, which allows us to reduce the surface of the troll door and its weight. We need to rig the system with compensation warp and chains. We can see how the traditional door, the weight is near 1.5 tons. The flying door only 500 kilograms, but not touch the bottom. The surface from 4 meters to only 3 meters. Only use 200 kilograms chains, but the chains is in contact with the bottom with the same angle of attack like a sweeps with combination ropes. The doors is working with 30 degrees and concentrate all the weight in 3 meters in the keel. The final reduction of resistances is about 27.7%, mainly because when working in depth, the vessel can reduce its throttle speed without the danger of the doors falling inwards and removing the seabed with the consequent muddying. The left column, we can see any change, the reduction of the total of the throttle net. We observe the results of the project. Fuel consumption has been reduced by 154,400 liters per year. The financial savings have been 114,809 euros. The daily consumption has been reduced by 466 liters. With the project, we have managed to reduce environmental impacts at the same time, the carbon footprint and the impact on the seabed. The troll door, like the vessel was using, produced a 1.34 meters wide footprint, removing all the seabed in the fishing area. With the flying doors, we avoid impact on the bottom. There are areas of Spain in which the use of flying door is mandatory. So, thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, we have a question.
Thank you very much. It was an interesting presentation. You have shown the physical side of fishing. So how much energy, how much cost, all this stuff. I would be interested in what the effect on catch is, because if you raise the doors, others have done it also. They have shown that you lose whatever 30%, 40% or so of the catch. How much catch effect on the catch you had here?
In the actuality, in the Mediterranean Sea, in the Spanish Mediterranean, near 80% of the vessels using the flying doors. The catches is more or less, it depends on the seashore, it depends on several things, but the quality of the catches is better because they are going up without anything of mud.
I have a question. I know in Canada, often we've tried to do this sort of thing, and if we make a trawl easier to tow, and the harvester can pull back on the RPM, typically the conversation then swings around and they say, oh, so I can make a bigger net now. Because you always want to pull the biggest net possible.
But it's a very big difference between shore vessels and in deep activity vessels. In shore vessels, all the skipper, the reduction of resistance is increasing the speed, troll speed. But in deep water it is different, because in deep water, the most important thing is the possibility of to troll at reduced speed. The problem in the deep water with the traditional doors is you reduce the troll speed immediately inwards and to remove the mud. But in all the vessels working in deep water, they are using flying doors.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you to you. Thanks.
Okay, this brings us to Pika Molinar. Are you in the room? Here he comes. All right. From the Netherlands.
Seem to work. Thank you.
Take it away.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you. Up and down.
Okay, it's working. Okay.
Skill 5, yeah. Oh, welcome. My name is Pieter Molenaar. I work in the Netherlands, mainly on geotechnology, as most of you here. Today, I will tell you a little bit about a completely different system. We're not talking about the troll. We're going to catch fish, but we're first going to look what species are actually in front of the vessel or under the vessel. So we're talking about pelagic fisheries. So it's a big school. You locate the school and you're going to see what kind of fish is that. First of all, I'll tell you a little bit about the Dutch pelagic industry. We have mainly pelagic freezer trawlers. We have 6 really Dutch vessels. We have several Dutch-owned flag vessels in other countries. The trawlers are 56 meters up to 136 meters. They're fairly big. They operate mainly in the North Atlantic Ocean and the North Sea. Target species are the pelagic species as herring, horse mackerel, blue whiting, mackerel, and sardine. Well, as they use pretty big trawls, usually 50 meter high, 100 meter wide. Catches go up to 10 tons, but sometimes even go to 400 tons each hole. And the catch is all processed and frozen on board. No gutting, no filleting, just frozen as a whole. Here's 2 examples of those pelagic vessels. All big. They're as big because they store all their catch on the vessel. And therefore you need a big hole to store all the frozen fish. But to catch the fish, first you have to find the fish. So they use quite technological advanced echo sonars to find the schooling fish. They first search for the fish, find the schooling fish, and even around the vessel up to 3 kilometers they can see schooling fish. So as you see, there's many screens, many echo sonars, and they have the ambition just to catch the fish they want to catch. So they try to recognize the fish, the species, before even deploying a troll. So, for example, on the left here, you see the vessel in the middle, and right ahead of the vessel, there's a very big school of pelagic fish. That's about 1.5 kilometers away. And they first go over it, see how the school looks like on the echo sounder. Then they determine what species is it herring, is it horse mackerel, and then they turn around, come back, and then they try to catch a part of the school or the whole school. And they can see it in the troll. In the troll sounder as well. But you have a big school, you see it on all the very technological advanced equipment, but what species is in the school? Sometimes they know very well by how it looks like, but sometimes there is a kind of doubt. Is it herring or is it horse mackerel? So the skipper is like, should I try? Should I not try? I think he needs herring. It might be horse mackerel. I say, okay, I do a 1 minute test hole, or deploy the gear, try the top of the school for 1 minute, and then see what species there are. But if you deploy such a trawl for 1 minute on a pelagic school, you may catch in 1 minute 30 tons of fish. And you don't want those 30 tons, but you cannot discard them. You have the landing obligation. So you bring it, you need to freeze it, you need to store it in your hull. And it's 30 tons, wrong species, no money. So, and especially at the end of the year when your quota is exhausted because you already caught all your herring, but you're looking for horse mackerel, and you catch 30 tons of herring, you have to trade it with other countries. And they say, hey, you want to have the herring? No, we don't give you any price. So you have to pay money to actually, well, bring this fish on land and trade it with other countries. So it's really, they don't want to catch them if they don't have quota or it's not the right species. And you have to store it, freeze it, sell it. But would it be a simple solution? You have all this nice gear. I was discussing with the skipper when I was for another different topic on the vessel, and he said, "Well, I'm almost sure it's horse mackerel. We tried." And then it was 30 tons of herring. So I asked him, "Why you don't drop just a GoPro in that school and then see?" He said, "Well, try it." So I asked for a fishing rod, and luckily they had one. So I attached the GoPro with a light to the fishing rod, threw it overboard, and not much later we had some images of horse mackerel swimming in the seabed. He was like, "What? We have this very expensive equipment, and you can see straight away what species with a GoPro?" We did it another 3 times. One time we had a school herring, and one time I didn't see any because the school probably disappeared. So then, well, we're thinking about it, and if you can implement a system on a regular way, kind of easy to use, you can reduce unintended catches like wrong species or just species without market value. You can reduce that a lot. And in this fishery, if you reduce it a bit, it's a lot of tons of fish. And you can reduce the lost fishing time by those test holes. I mean, setting and retrieving the trawls takes about 60 minutes. So you're losing 60 minutes of searching and fishing time on the wrong species. And you have more storage capacity in your vessel for the right species will actually make money. And it's a relatively inexpensive system. I mean, for €2,500 you can buy this. You can try it on such a massive vessel, but it should be a bit more professional. So we thought about it. We came up with this system. Here you have a simple picture of the system. It's a battery. It's connected to a downrigger. It's kind of fishing equipment they use in salmon fishing. We attached with a couple of swivels or snap swivels, as you see, the GoPro and the deep water housing, diving light, and a flag. So the GoPro is always looking forward, even if you sail forward. And we attached on the bottom of that 5 kilograms of weight. Can be a downrigger weight or any other 5 kilograms of weight with not a lot of water resistance. So you can use the, here you have a closer picture. It's still the first version. Later on I made the part where you attach the GoPro and the lights from aluminium. You can order it online for about €5, and then you have a nice piece to attach everything. The downrigger is mounted on the back side of the vessel. It's detachable, so they can really replace it, deploy the gear, and then see the fish, and then remove it. So it's not in the way. You have to hold the vessel or hold the troll. You drop it straight down, and you can deploy the system up to 200 meters of depth, because all things are waterproof to 200 meters. It's all detachable, so you detach the weight from the GoPro and the light, and then you can store it in a cover in a suitcase in the bridge. And then if you need it, you take it, you put it there, you connect it, and within 5 minutes you can try to see what's in the school. You make a quick fall with the camera on, you retrieve it. You can even drive the vessel slowly forward. The camera is moving, try to hit the school, and then well, you switch the button, it retrieves the GoPro, and you watch directly the footage on your phone. Your phone with a quick app connects with the GoPro, and you can watch straight away the footage. And within 5 minutes, you may have an answer what species is just below your boat. So far, no. We installed it first in one vessel. We tried it for a year. He said, "Well, I think this is the piece of very cheap equipment that saved most discards and all the gear we have." And then we installed it on another 2 vessels. So I give you a couple of examples of the results from the camera system. This is boarfish. It's one species I really don't want to catch. It clogs the processing systems. It's spiny and it's absolutely worthless, but I have to bring it back. So if I can avoid it, I would be really happy. On the echo sounders, it looks almost the same as some pelagic species they target. So I think they target a big school of the right species, and then those show up. Let's see your word. You put down the fish. Now you drop the camera. You're almost there. But if you see this, you know enough. Sail on. Don't deploy a net. Another example, a little bit water. You see again, both fish. Move on, go away. So they do react to the light, but you still see it's boarfish. Then a species you want to catch, mackerel. They swim quite a lot faster, so I slowed down the video a bit. But in your app, you can just stop the video and just watch frame by frame what species fly by. And here you see a lot of mackerel in the school. I think this is about 80 meters depth or something. The school was feeding on small krill. And although they don't like the light, you can still see it's mackerel. And if you see those mackerel, you think those are the right ones, deploy the trawl, go ahead. And then herring seems to be slightly different than the other two. I really slowed down the movie a lot. You see them flying by, but I really don't like the light. So I was speaking to one of the skippers and say, if I deploy the thing in a school of herring, I usually don't get any footage. He said, maybe then you know it's herring. So some remarks on the system. It's to be honest, it's a very simple, cost-effective system. All parts are available. You can order them online. You only have to put it together. So yeah, you see, put it in a box, keep it in the bridge. Light affects the fish behavior if you drop the GoPro, but the vessel is usually able to find back to school pretty easily, as they can look around pretty far. But I was talking to the skipper. He said, I like the system, but I still need 2 people to operate the system. 1 to operate the system and 1 to be on the bridge. He said, I want it fully automatic. I sit on the bridge, press the button, and then everything happens. We talked about it, but then you go to the system with the integrated cable and maybe advanced image recognition, real-time processing, a screen with the fish in the bridge, and then it very soon is a very complex, very expensive system, and then it's not going to happen. So I think maybe it's a nice in-between. Maybe use the idea and use it in your own fisheries. Well, so far, it's my presentation. Any questions?
Any questions from the floor? Yes.
I think this is a typical type of work where when we have the joint working group with FAST is useful, because actually a question that FAST people can ask is, does the echo sounder with multiple frequencies detect this school using these backscattering strengths from the different frequencies? So I'm not from the north, but my background, I have some study on acoustic, and using 38, 120, and 300 kilohertz, maybe they can detect the difference. I just ask you if this is helpful or not. Of course, the system is much more economic than that, but maybe they lose time in using this system instead of the multi-frequency echo sound.
I presented this system to my my colleague who's in the FAST group, and I gave him a system too, so he's going to try it together with his echo sound research. But not in all cases you can see the exact composition just with the multi-beam frequency. Some species are very close, 1 hertz, maybe different, but they still look the same. So, but it was present on the vessel, this system, a very expensive CPIC system, and I still can't see the difference. So it may help them. But
did you compare the two?
No, I have only been trying this for. I didn't compare it, but I only have been trying this, and after I gave them the system to try them themselves, I didn't join the next trip for 6 weeks. I said, you try it yourself and then give me the results.
All right, that brings us to the final presentation of the afternoon. Mikel, yes, that's right. Demonstration of pingers potential to reduce common dolphin bycatch in bottom trawl gears. All right, take it away.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Mikel Basterrechea from ASTI, Spain, and I'm going to show two projects related to some tests to test the effectiveness of pingers in mitigating the dolphin bycatch in pair bottom trawlers in the Bay of Biscay. So the objective was that to test the effectiveness of two models, the DDD and the Marexi pinger in the mitigation of the bycatch, and we used remote electronic monitoring systems as a powerful tool to obtain statistically significant results, because we know that in this fishery this bycatch is very relevant. We also analyzed other operational fishing factors related to this bycatch. So here you can see the characteristics of the two pingers we developed in two different projects. We used the DDD in the first project because it was the pinger that the commercial fishermen were using at the time we started the experiment, and this project is already finished, so I'm going to show you the results. And after that, we changed the model of the pinger. Why? Because it said that at some level, the intensity of the DDD is very high. So you can see that it's like 20 decibels higher than the Marexi pinger. So this 20 decibels is quite a lot. Maybe we can discuss it later, but yes. Another difference is the frequency, and another big difference is the battery duration, which in the DDD pinger is like 40 hours, which means that you need to recharge it every 2 days or so. And in the other one, in the Marexi pinger, you have a battery duration of more than 9,000 hours, which is approximately 13 months, and all the fishing season. So it is much easier to use. So the experimental approach was the same in the two projects. We choose pair bottom trawlers with high vertical opening nets, which is the fishery that has most of the bycatch in the study area. We put pingers in the bridles of the net oriented towards the mouth. And these commercial pair trawlers made alternate holes. So we equipped one vessel with pingers and the other without them. So then we equipped both vessels with electronic monitoring systems, allowing us to monitor a long fishing period. So with this methodology, we have a good comparison between holes because both vessels alternate holes. So we have holes with similar characteristics. Here you can see the location of the cameras at the stern of the vessel. We used an equipment called Marine Observe and a software called EMI. This software gave us the speed of the vessel with the position of the vessel at any time, associated with the images of the main deck, where most of the bycatch occurs, and the net going through the ramp. So regarding the results of the first project, the DDD pinger, an important aspect was to characterize the battery discharge. So we measured and modeled it in relation to the immersion time. We developed a user manual, and it was produced and given to the skippers at the stages of the trials. And we saw that this pinger needed to be recharged every 2 or 3 fishing days, depending on the immersion time. And also the battery voltage was measured by the captain during the trials after each hole. Here you can see the study area. This is in the Bay of Biscay, in the south of the Bay of Biscay. This is the usual fishing zone of the fishery. And we differentiated 2 areas, one north of the Cape Breton Canyon and the other one in the south. We had 2 experimental periods to cover the winter, all the winter season, when most of the bycatch occurs in the area. And we have 195 fishing days and 660 holes. Regarding the bycatch, there were 26 common dolphins. You can see in the figure the distribution during the months, mainly in January and February 2022, and they were mainly young individuals, smaller than 2 meters. And regarding the effectiveness, we found that without pingers, they got 25 individuals in 14 holes, and with pingers, only one in one hole. So we did a statistical analysis of the results, and we found that with pingers, we found a reduction of 92.5% in the proportion of holes with bycatch, and 95.6% in the bycatch rate. Here you can see in the map the distribution, the geographical distribution of fishing holes. Most of them were in the south part, south of the Capleton Canyon. But in the figure in the right, you can see that most of the bycatch occurred in the north zone. In red without pingers, and in green with pingers. And we also analyzed the depth and the time of the day. We found that the proportion of holes with bycatch increased, and as the depth decreased. And we also found higher proportion of holes with bycatch at night, but these differences were not significant. And as a conclusion, as I said, remote electronic monitoring is a powerful tool to obtain statistically significant results. We analyzed almost 2,000 fishing days, 9 months of fishing activity, and 660 holes. So 25 common dolphins in 14 holes without pingers, and only one in one hole with pingers. A reduction of more than 92% in the proportion of holes, and more than 95% in the number of individuals per hole, and a higher proportion of holes with bycatch in lower depth. A scientific article is going to be published, so this project is already finished. And now there is another project is ongoing, so we have only preliminary results. We have the information from the captain. So we didn't analyze the electronic monitoring images. So we have the information about the use of the pinger, the date, hour, position, and number of individuals. In the next figure, you can see a summary of the bycatch, if they use pingers or not. We have 70 days and 280 holes approximately, and the bycatch is 23 individuals with bycatch with pingers, and 39 without. And the incident 10 with pingers versus 18 without pingers. So when we compare both pingers, the Marexi and the DDD, we found with the Marexi higher bycatch. As I said, these are very preliminary results because it hasn't been a statistical analysis behind. So the bycatch is higher with this pinger, the effectiveness lower. But anyway, however, we have a reduction of 58% in individuals and 44% in the number of incidents. And a good point about this pinger is that it doesn't need to be recharged, the battery, in all fishing season. It means that it's easy to use for fishermen, and easy to use means more effective. In further studies, we will try to find an equilibrium between some level, effectiveness, and battery life. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is it really a problem that dolphins enter into the trawl net? Does it emerge as a problem?
The problem that is
660 holes and then 25 incidences.
Yes, yes. The problem, there is a big problem because they don't want to catch any cetacean, any dolphin. So the objective is to avoid the bycatch of the dolphin. Yes.
All right. Any questions from the floor? Yes. Yes, please. Yes.
I can speak now. Do you reckon the discussions are just moving to one of the other vessels without fingers? Yes. I was wondering, I think in the Graphic Sea, at some point we had that doubt that the vessel with fingers was not having dolphins in front of here, but the dolphins were just moving to one of the other vessels. So if we were to implement fingers at the fleet level, then what would happen?
I don't know if I understand the question, but they have one vessel with finger, with the other without, and they alternate always the holes. So is the same the pair? So they are fishing always in the same place. So they only alternate holes.
Yeah, I was more wondering, do you think the effect with the positive effect of reducing the bycatch, will it be there once we put the fingers on the entire fleet? Like,
Because of the habituation, you mean?
yes.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We know that in the French part of the Bay of Biscay, yes, most of the petrollers are using fingers, and they say we know because the captain said to us that the effect of the finger is not very good, so they are catching more dolphins than in the area that we did the experiment. But we don't know if it's because of the habituation or maybe because they are not using them well, because one important part of the experiment is to assure the correct functioning. And in this case, you need to recharge the finger every day, and you need to put them correctly in the net. And we know that in this fishery, for example, in the pair bottom trawlers in the north part of the Bay of Biscay, they are not doing it well. We know it because the observers said to us they are not charging them every day. So, and the position, so I don't know.
Maybe people want to know the price.
The new is much cheaper. The new one costs like 50 euros or so. 50. Yeah, 50.
We use it the other. I know
Much higher. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to close your session yourself, or okay? We finished with the session for active gears, and we would like to thank you, the conveners, Meena Kumari and Paul. Thank you very much. We are a little bit behind our schedule. So normally we have planned to have a coffee break. It will happen in a few minutes. But as you have seen in the program, we will have a boat trip this afternoon. And before the boat trip, we have an working meeting of the working group. So all those who are a member of the working group will meet before the boat trip. So the others are released then, but we have a program point which is important, which we believe it's important to hear for all of us, because in our working group we also collect in so-called national reports the work we have done over the last year. So every member country, every FDFB member country, they produce a report describing the project they have done in the last year. They describe the projects which will happen in the next year. And we summarize it. It will be part of the report. But now we would like to advertise the national report because you can already download the national reports. You can check it. You can read it. Now I do your talk. Sorry. He will do. Georg Hani from Iceland is voluntary, partly voluntary. So we asked him to offer to present the national reports in a short summary to advertise it. Thank you very much, Georg.
It's a great honor, like as always.
See you. Please,
So yeah, I have the honorary task to present the national reports, and as Daniel said, it's an accumulation of the work that's been done over the past years, but also spans our projects that are ongoing, planned projects, and just general, like it's an overview of what the member countries are doing. Like a slight disclaimer, not all member countries have actually produced reports. We have got reports from countries that are not member countries. So this is not like neither the national report nor this presentation claims to be like a full overview of what's going on, but it gives an indication of sort of the major topics, what is going on. So if you want to find the national reports, you go to the WGFTFB.org homepage to annual meeting, and down at the left-hand side, if you click there, you'll find the summary report there. In my presentation, there's two national reports absent. That's Norway and Denmark. They were too late to the party, so we didn't include them. And there were some other countries that didn't hand in reports, so that's just what it is. In this report, you'll find like around about 110 reports in total. And we've been asking for like a couple of years now, sort of like, what does your project that you're doing, what does it include? So around 21% actually directly address endangered and threatened species, 38 indirectly do so, and about 12% actually address the problem of marine litter at fishing gear. And I'm just going to run through this quickly because we all want to have a coffee and some of you want to go. Argentina is one of the first countries here. So they're looking into reduction of ray bycatch and hake fisheries. They look at coding selectivity, mostly the square between the T90 nets. They look at towing speed modifications, and they're also working on projects with gear markings, the durability of markings, and how to detect those tags. And Belgium, where we've heard some presentations about this, and this will be also like a theme now. You might have heard some of the topics that I'm talking about. Some of the presentations will come later this week. So these are the projects, like exploring synergies between mariculture, like growing of mussels and such, and passive gear, how these can be combined. How can be shrimp sorted on board, that undersized shrimp can be discarded alive. How would you use LED light? And this is also like a big theme, like the use of light, and has been in this working group, like light projects have been ongoing very much. So how you prevent, how you enable escape, and how you optimize the catch that you're having through light. Canada, clearly big on the bycatch still. Looking at whales fishing, so like this is also this is a Canada specific ropeless fishing and such. Looking, but also seabed impacts. We had a presentation earlier about that today as well. How do you do that? But then redfish has been for a couple of years a big thing, T90 cottons and such, and also light projects. But then apart from the Memorial University and the Marine Institute, there's also like the DFO Marinov. They're looking at end of tow bias of snow crab fisheries, but also LDFGs, detecting and recovering crab pots, and how to utilize the gear at the end. China, I'm pretty sure there's more projects ongoing than this, but this is the reports that we've gotten, and they're mainly focused on electronic monitoring on board vessels for various species. France is for some reason interested in fish. I don't know how that came out, but Yves is the champion of this working group of finding great project names. And like I haven't really included all of them, but like, they're really good. So there's Fishing Click, it's a citizen science project. Then this Game of Trolls, it's developing smart troll using artificial intelligence. Learn project, looking at gear selectivity, the automation. The escape project, understanding and modeling catch and escape mechanisms and contrast, improving the rings of bottom trolls and reduce the impacts. I'm not sure what I meant by this, but you'll find out in the national reports if you read them if I made any mistakes here. Germany being into fish, nets, and fishery, really appropriate for this group. Looking into understanding and improving the troll selectivity, like species selection, and the mesh geometry, we heard about that today. Then the mini-sane studies we've heard about today. And then also looking at the bike reduction of marine mammals and birds and gillnets, like the Stella 2 project. Stella has been following us in this working group for a while, and we'll be hear about this later in this working group. Iceland, my home country, is looking at the
ALBFG problem, and then also the fish scanner, which will be presented later in this plenary. Am I correct, right? Yes. We also have like some very egocentric countries that mention the name a lot in their national reports, which is good. So Ireland, looking at the guide on solutions for fisheries conservation, both to reduce underwater bycatch, and like has presented like 22 gear modifications as sort of like fact sheets. Looking at the energy efficiency of a 4-panel network pole, and then also again light reducing bycatch and cod survivability in the same fishery. A lot of these projects stem from the EU landing web obligation that's followed many European countries quite heavily. Italy, we have the Live Dolphin project, again trying to reduce interactions with dolphins by both finding dolphin-safe alternative gears and also using deterrents. The FAO project looking at sustainable ecocentric fisheries management, and Systema looking at environmental care as a lever for sustainable development. These are sort of like big overarching projects that you can read more about in the national reports, and actually quite interesting. Japan looks at monitoring of seal invading a salmon set net, and we've heard about this problem of seal like actually predating on catch. Looking at tracking technology of highly migratory fish species, a near fish aggregating device, and then they're also like developing some sort of like autonomous like surface vessel to do various kinds of research that would be labor intensive and costly otherwise. Portugal has, like I present 2 projects here, looking at validating materials for the Portuguese multi-gear coastal fleet, and looking at daily landings and the e-log books for the knowledge of the fishing gear used on a trip level. And then also Sardinia, looking at the Sardinia project, looking at the detection of small cetaceans. That's like, small marine mammals for you with a per se fishery. As like Spain, similar theme there to Ireland. The CASLM LM project, looking at the improvement of selectivity in tall fisheries and hot next bycatch release devices and the mid-set marine mammal bycatch reduction and ping utilization in pair trawling. A lot of these projects are actually overarching between several countries, so there's lots of synergies and people that work from different countries, but different like institutes, but kind of work together on these kind of projects. And unfortunately, I don't have the National Port of Norway in there because like I can assure you that whereas red stands Swedish there, it would say bent. So Sweden as a project called Round Goby, like the Round Goby, like the species, and looking at how to the risk of the species to resource, and then also having the Swedish lobster program. In the UK, I summarized the UK, all the countries in the UK to one slide, unfortunately, because all the projects are kind of centered around light, looking at the light as bycatch reduction tool, looking light how fish behave towards light, having projects how to improve selectivity, wrong direction, and also the escapement behavior. So like there's a theme to what people try to do with light, and this reflects in the kind of projects that you see throughout the countries. And then an ongoing project, not only in the UK, is the replacement of the golf troll.
No.
Just I'm at the EU.
Sorry.
So last country, and get a bit of a different image there for you. So we have the US, like looking at preventing whale entanglement, similar to what Canada was doing, looking at the ropeless, like how the ropes interact with whales, preventing whale predation on catch devices, using artificial light for species selectivity, looking to develop bycatch reduction devices in the whelk cod fisheries, things that I'm not familiar with personally. You're using physical acoustics to quantify sea turtle encounters and shrimp trawls, comparing catch from demersal and pelagic gear and bottom trawl fisheries, studying connectivity, movement, and distribution of the fish in offshore fin farm area, incorporating machine learning into electronic monitoring programs. It's like AI as a general term, testing hook sizes, and evaluating survey gear performance using camera monitoring. Whew. So we made it through this. Again, as a reminder, like, use the opportunity that we have during this meeting to browse through the national report. You'll find the contact details of the people responsible in a certain country. You find the contact details of the people working in a specific project. And there is things that you will find interesting. There's things that you might talk to the people that are present here during this meeting. This is why we have this presentation now and not the end. So you can actually utilize this meeting to network, and maybe, as you see, like, there's a lot of projects that are very similar that might not have talked to each other, but that could talk to each other and find common ways of addressing a common problem together. And like this wonderful presentations that we had from our host country today, like, springs up a lot of problems that you're dealing here with that we are dealing there on the other side of the world. So thank you very much for listening, and until next year, I guess.
I have one minor remark, because I think this national report is an important section for the report, the main report. This is a minor. Then I have one more important. I think that the word cloud are very interesting to see, and also probably to include in the report. I suggest that you remove those common words like BIM or CNR or fish, in order that the other word just pop up with the importance. So I think just because the word cloud are important, that's what I'm saying.
I've played around this a bit, and the text is not long enough usually to actually work with that. And it's like partly kept in message as well.
Yeah, but you made a great work and a huge effort, and we thank you for another major, like my voice when I speak in the microphone. Another major remark is for the Indian people. I think that they, from the next year, they are welcome to submit a report, but I think they have to find a coordination, because Italy is just me and few others that work in the fishing technology, and so it's the report from Italy comes from our institute, or more or less. India is as big as Europe, so they have to find one coordinator that send the report and coordinate the report internally before submitting. So they are welcome at the same time. It's suggested to find a coordination at the national level.
So this is now the end of the plenum day. So we will have a working group meeting afterwards, but Krishnan has some remarks on how the day will end.
Yeah, before I make that announcement, there was a request from the chairs for specifically for India. Rather, I would like to draw the attention of, there are many other countries who are present here. We have representatives from Sri Lanka, Maldives, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Myanmar, Thailand, all are here. So the message is common to all the countries in this region, like to associate. And then certainly after the meeting, if there is a possibility to identify a node to facilitate, coordinate, certainly GOVP will be more than happy to do that with the ICES chairs and the respective governments, how the reports are going to be useful, that we shall have a conversation in detail later. With that, when the working group meeting is happening, that's only for the members, and then we all of you should have received a mail. We have planned Department of Fisheries, Government of India is hosting a dinner in the cruise. It's a state-owned vessel, and we'll be starting from here. It is 3:45 now. Say 4:30. All the delegates are requested to be around the near the lobby. Vehicles have been arranged. And there are 2 buses, like as the guests come, they'll be dropped, and then it is just 10 minutes drive from here, and then again the next batch will be taken. And the vessel is itself, you can just have some fun going around by the next batch comes, and then we shall proceed. So 4:30 to 4:45 we expect. So I request those who are ready, 4:30, those who are here, they can simply refresh and then assemble at 4:30. Thank you.
So FDFB people will meet again in 10 minutes here, because we have something to do and we have to finish before the boat trip. So 10 minutes from now. So 3:50, no, 3:55. 3:55, we meet again.